Recorded in sinfully sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. Avantpop Bookstore presents interviews. Joining us on this episode of Avantpop Bookstore Presents is Abel Horwitz. Abel Horwitz is the producer and co-writer of The Marquis De Sade Presents Abandon. Abandon is the opening show of the Las Vegas Theaters Company's explosive 2023 and 2024 season. It's sure to be an experience that'll haunt you long after the final curtain falls. Joining us now, Abel Horwitz. All right, so
are we recording?
We're recording.
So that was live.
She'll edit all this stuff out.
I talked about the public.
Yeah. Fucking idiots out there.
They're not all.
Of course not.
Here's my theory.
Stupid, though.
Earthlings are stupid.
Yeah.
My theory is that the world is divided into two kinds of people, right? It's the kinds of people who look at a television and see that the factory settings make it look like reality TV or a soap opera, and they want to change it, to like make it look cinematic. And then there's the kind of people who don't even notice that. Yeah.
I'm the kind of person who changes it, fucks it up, and then doesn't notice that I fucked it up.
Oh, now I've started this interview. I've started this interview by just talking shit about you.
It's okay.
Nailed
it. That's okay.
Amazing.
I don't mind. I talk shit about myself all the time.
Oh,
I got a good sense of humor. So
okay. All right.
So, Horwitz?
Horwitz, Abel Horwitz.
Horwitz.
Yes. I know, right?
All right. Well, Abel, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Shwa.
It's we were excited about the show when you guys came. We sold all of our Marquis De Sade books, and people who know about him enjoy them.
What do they say? Have you heard anyone talk about him?
No. I mean, I've read and talked with people that have been interested about him.
Okay.
But just from the books, I can't even remember which ones I've read. There's been so many that have come out.
You've been able to read him. He's not an easy read.
No. I've read books about him.
Yes.
And then other people writing telling his story. But I haven't read any of his exacts.
Oh yeah, I've tried. He's unique and he's very verbose.
Yeah.
And he was definitely it comes across. He was definitely a writer of his time. And he writes in this very floral language. But I can't exactly say he's an entertaining writer.
Right.
Yeah.
And although entertaining himself, also fucking disturbed. That guy was. Which makes him unique and historical.
Oh well, that's what we are doing here today, talking about the mind and the brilliance and the madness of the Marquis De Sade.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about your mind and your madness.
Happily.
Tell us a little bit about Abel.
Tell us a little bit about myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got to give me like a prompt. You got to ask me something to get me into
Where'd
the
you
world.
grow up?
I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
No shit.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
Oh.
My father owned a record store,
that's awesome.
which at the time I didn't think was anything. That was just where I grew up. I didn't have any comparables. But I was really fortunate, right? Because I was surrounded by music, and everyone who worked there was an artist of some way, and an artist would always come in. So I was really just brought up in a very artistic community.
That's fantastic. Were you ever a musician because of all the music influence?
No, I was never a musician. When I grew up, I wanted to be Steven Spielberg. In fact, I didn't even. It was funny because I couldn't even tell you who I liked musically. I liked Weird Al Yankovic. That's who I really liked. And then whatever movie soundtrack had come out, that was what I wanted to listen to.
Yeah.
It wasn't until much later that I actually started getting exposed to all the music that I was surrounded with my entire life, and realizing just how special it was.
Yeah. Well, I was similar. I wanted to be John Hughes.
You wanted to be? Oh yeah.
And I listened to a lot of motion picture soundtracks as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So if you're asking about me,
Yeah.
I won't. Well, what was your favorite John Hughes movie?
Oh, jeez, that's a hard one to say. The end of his career was my least favorite. I'd say
Well, I
that,
know, unfortunately, yeah.
But yeah, they were all great. I really liked Some Kind of Wonderful.
I have not seen that one.
Which was pretty much just the reverse of Pretty in Pink.
Okay.
But Eric Stoltz was brilliant in that.
Okay.
Breakfast Club changed a lot of our lives. The
Sure,
time, 16 Candles is fun.
absolutely.
Mr. Mom, one of his first ones.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
classic for sure.
Yeah.
Classic for sure. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, Vacation. I probably saw that thousands of times because we had it on VHS, and my mom was working all the time, single parent with 2 kids, and so Vacation was one that we just loved. And Chevy Chase that time was fantastic. So
Yeah. Can I tell you an early horror story?
yeah, sure.
Okay. So, because you said VHS, so I remember getting The Exorcist on VHS, and it was in the house. It was in the living room, and I was going to watch it that night. My father refused to be in the same room as The Exorcist on VHS. This little piece of plastic was so powerful and had such an energy to it that he couldn't even be in the same room. And so that was really early exposure into this genre that I've made a career out of, to just realize the power of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I guess to tell you more about myself.
So a love for horror.
Yes, and because I wasn't obsessed with it as a kid, I certainly recognized its power. I certainly saw, all of the classic horror films, but I got into horror because I started to recognize just how powerful it was. I know I've said power a few times already, but I worked in the film industry in New Mexico. I was a PA on Breaking Bad. I got to be the personal assistant of Helen Mirren for a film, which, oh my God, what a dame! She was fabulous. And I even worked on a horror film, and the set just smelled like sugar, because it's all corn syrup, right? But that was filmed at the Santa Fe. The New Mexico State Prison outside of Santa Fe, which is home to the bloodiest prison riot in U.S. history. That place was haunted. Absolutely haunted. So I grew up in New Mexico. I started working on film. I moved to New York. I got fired from a job, and I knew I had to do something. So I went home and I told my mom, I think I'm moving to New York, and she said, okay, but go to the dental appointment that you have first, and then you can move to New York.
Smart mom,
yeah. Nice Jewish mother. So I moved to New York, and even though I had worked in the film industry, even though I'd been surrounded by artists my entire life, I just didn't know it was possible. I truly thought you were just born complete. Yeah. Like Stephen King just one day just sat down and without editing just Carrie fell out of his head. Yeah. Instead of the reality of just blood, sweat, and tears to get anything.
And cocaine and cigarettes.
And cocaine.
And weed, I think was his diet in the beginning.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? So I moved to New York. I started taking acting classes. I started going to improv at UCB. I started going to shows, a lot of theater. I'd done theater in high school. I'd been scared away from it in college. So I got a creative writing degree. But yeah, in New York, a friend of mine said, you have to go see this show. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. You just have to go see it. And the show was Sleep No More. Do you know anything about this show? No. Okay. Sleep No More was immersive. I mean, they called it immersive, which you would put on a mask, you would go into this 6-story warehouse, and you would explore the warehouse. And it was a very choreographed, dialogue-free, half Macbeth, half Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, or the Hitchcock version of Rebecca, story that you could choose how you experienced it. You know, you didn't have, it was a play, but it unfolded the way that you wanted it to. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was allowed, you know? And that was Dorothy going to Oz. Like, my world went from black and white to color.
What year was this?
That was 2011.
Okay.
And I was lucky. I was really fortunate because my timing was good. So they had I think it was their first extension. So their second 6 weeks of shows. Now they've been there, you know, that was 2011. They're still open. But it was like their second 6 weeks of shows. I sent an email to just their general email box with the magic words, which is, I will work for free.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought me in, and I got to intern there. And it wasn't a long internship, but it gave me exposure. And I got to, after my shift was done, I would put on the mask, and I would wander around, and I would explore this warehouse that they had put together. And it just, you know, like I said, like Dorothy to go to Oz, like I just saw a path open that had never existed before. Not too long after that, I moved to Los Angeles, and I got I waited in line to be a monster at Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, because I was curious. I was very curious as to what it was. I'd always heard about it, and I got into that, and I would stand in my monster costume, and I would jump out at people as they would walk past, and it was just so obvious. Here's actors, here's costumes, here's lights, here's storytelling. But if you market it towards if you market it as a haunted house, you can get an audience who would probably never go see something called a play, but will line up for miles to see this thing called a haunted house. And that, again, was just this, like, the path just kind of narrowed. And that's when I really started paying attention to the horror genre. And I started attending conventions, and I started just meeting as many people as I could. And LA has this incredible haunted house scene, just that couldn't exist anywhere else, simply because of the fact that LA is so big. Yeah. And, you know, it was just me tapping into the source. Yeah. So I after the season, the Halloween season was over, I Googled horror theater Los Angeles, and what pops up is a theater called Zombie Joe's Underground in the Valley. And again, the magic words, I will work for free. I emailed, and 15 minutes later, I get a call from a Zombie Joe saying, like, come and check out a show, and if you're really interested, there's a space for you. And so I did, and I ran lights for a couple of shows. I acted in a show, which was the first time I'd acted since high school. Or, no, that's not true, because I took classes in New York, but, you know, a play and memorizing lines and all that stuff again. And I just kept saying, like, if you put a haunted house, if you call it a haunted house, if you call it a haunted house, if you call it a haunted house. And then I got to see their signature show, which is called Urban Death, which is still very much running and still very much alive. And it's this series of vignettes. The lights go on, you see something scary. The lights go off. The lights go on, you see something fucked up. You see something weird. The lights go off. And it's just these flashes of horror. It's wordless. It has no plot, and it just moves so quickly. Wow. And it was like being struck by lightning. I didn't know that you were allowed to behave this way in a theater. And I just kept hounding Zombie, and then I met the director of that show. Her name's Jana Wimer, and are we still rolling?
Oh, yeah, it's our air conditioning.
Oh, that was our air conditioning. Okay.
It gets warm in the confessional here.
Oh,
so.
I see. Okay. And I really give them credit, because again, I was so untested. I was so green, but I just kept saying, like, I think there's money. I think there's an opportunity. And so they listened, and they we turned the lobby, this tiny little lobby of this tiny little black box theater in North Hollywood, into a maze, like with these giant plastic sheets, and the audience would go through the maze, and we'd give them these flashlights, and we'd really just, mute the flashlights as much as possible to just create this, and then we'd hide actors around it. Excuse me. And then and I was working any connection I had, emailing any news outlet I could. I was on Twitter. I was on Yelp. I mean, what was this, 2013 at this point? So whatever was the media in 2013. Just like, you have to come see this. You have to come see this. You have to come see this. And it became the most successful show in that theater's history.
Wow.
And then 2014, it was the most successful show in that theater's history. And then in 2015, it was the most successful show. So it just started building, and it just started building. And I'm acting in the shows. I'm really getting involved in the community. Jana and I just begin to form a creative partnership. And in 2018, by this point I've heard about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the biggest performing arts festival in the world, just hands down. I know this now. I didn't know this at the time, but it is the third largest attended event in the world. Number one is the Summer Olympics. Number two is the World Cup, and I might have those reversed, but number three is Edinburgh.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the city, I mean, it looks like Harry Potter. Yeah. It's so magical. People from all over the world come, and they bring shows, they bring stand-up, they bring, their vaudeville. I mean, it was just whatever is happening in every inch and every corner of this town. And, that took about a year to put together, to raise money for it, to get the actors, to develop it, to find a theater, to find a place to live. And that was really how I started producing, and it wasn't that I intended on it. It needed to get done. All these things needed to get done, and it was me who decided that I was going to do all this stuff. So we're warned repeatedly, like, don't go to this festival thinking you can't expect to be a success.
Right. It's your first time.
It's your first time. You're competing with an unlimited amount of other shows. Right. Yeah. There's all you can do is go, and you can have fun. Yeah. So mostly it was just about getting there. But no one else was dressing up like zombies, shuffling up and down the streets, passing out flyers. No one else was doing this fucked up, insane horror show. And, I really believed in it. I had Jana. We had a team of actors. Zombie Joe was really supportive, even though, it was hard for him to kind of he loves the theater. He loves working in the theater, but, it's hard for him to let his actors go, to let his little beautiful monsters leave. So I really give him credit for giving us the power to do this show. And we got there, we did a couple of shows. The people who really liked horror came out to our first shows, and then they started telling their friends, you have to see this. It's unlike anything else. And we started getting really big audiences. We started selling out. We started getting these incredible reviews. We started getting recognized in the streets.
That's huge.
It was a dream come true. A dream come true. To take something that we all believed in so much, and then to just see, the world respond.
Yeah, okay.
So that was 2018. After that, I got back, just because of being in the right place at the right time. I met the futurist at Paramount Pictures, the guy whose job it is to see what's coming up next. I told him what I was doing, and he invited me to create an immersive show that would be held on the Paramount Pictures lot. I brought in Jana. We co-wrote a script together. We pitched it, and it was scheduled to open October 2020. So,
of course.
So, but we got paid.
So
that was
good.
Pandemic hit. We all kind of had to figure out where we went next. And meanwhile, a man named Bob Bullwinkle, Jana's former drama teacher, who had known Jana since she was in high school, he'd been really telling Jana, look, like Urban Death, there is a future for this show. And he just kept saying, like let me know, I'll invest, like, let's take this to the next level. And during pandemic, and, you know, again, I really love and care for Zombie Joe, but you know, the show is his. Yeah. The theater is his name is above the right. door. So Jana told Bob, like, well, okay, well, let's bring Abel in. And the three of us met, and we started discussing what to do next. And, you know, take this incredible talent and this incredible mind of Jana's, and this theater technique of the lights go on, you see something fucked up, the lights go off, the lights go on, you see something fucked up, but create like a story, yeah. like give it a frame. And so we were trying to think of what story to tell, and we're bouncing, you know, people around and ideas around, and we thought, well, you know, if we take it into, like, if we find someone historical, you know, we can at least, like, trade off that name, right? Yeah. And Bob suggested the Marquis de Sade. And so Jana and I, who knew, you know, kind of about this guy but didn't really know much, started doing some research, and it doesn't take long to realize that there is a lot of story behind this man.
Yeah.
So the three of us started really looking into him, really asking ourselves what kind of story we could tell about this man, really thinking of the context of the time in which he lived. We found this I guess meme on the internet about reasons one could be thrown into the asylum in the 1800s. And, you know, it's half true, half false, but I mean, it's like, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder, postpartum depression, gambling addiction, homosexuality. I mean, just anything, anything that they deemed you unworthy of being part of society, they'd throw you into these horrible asylums.
These are the late 1700s?
Yeah, I mean, this was like a list from Connecticut in the 1800s, but,
okay, yeah.
You know, the Marquis de Sade was in the late 1700s, early 1800s, so it was easy to you know, say, oh, these are the people who are thrown into the asylums. And so we created a show where the Marquis de Sade is the main character. We talk about him writing 120 Days of Sodom, but also we populated it with a cast of people who are also in the asylum for sex addiction, postpartum depression. We have, you know, the evil priest. We have the mean orderlies. We have the nurse. We have the old crone, the old woman who, you know, is probably like considered a witch. We have all those characters, and we've created this very scary, very twisted, very funny, very exciting show. And then we're opening it in Vegas. That was easy. You know, we didn't want to open in LA. Like, we didn't want to compete with a theater that we love so much.
Right.
And Shwa, all roads lead to Vegas. It just, if you want to be in entertainment,
that's what people come out here for sure.
That's what people come out here for.
It's like old Hollywood.
It's like old Hollywood. You know, Meow Wolf came, and So that was kind of this like, okay, well, you know, people aren't looking at Vegas as just a place for gambling. The entertainment has become really, you know, the reason people come.
Yeah.
You can gamble. Everyone in the United States is about 2 hours away from a casino, I believe, at this point.
Yeah.
But Vegas is where you come to party. It's where you come to play. So it was just easy, and it's also 4 hours away from LA. Right. So we could get here. And Bob, you know, he's been coming to Vegas since the 70s. He loves this town. So
Bob's great.
Yeah, it was just easy to come out here, and you know, God, 2 Aprils ago at this point, we set up meetings through Bob's connections, and we started coming out here, and we started meeting people, and we started trying to figure out how we could do it. We needed to find a theater. We needed to do everything that it takes to put together a production.
Yeah. There's definitely lots of talent out here.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I know I'm talking a lot. I don't think you've asked me a question.
That's okay.
In
You
15
roll,
minutes.
baby. I love it.
But, yeah, we auditioned people last spring. So, you know, we're recording this now in the middle of September. So we came out here. We needed our cast. We really had no idea what to expect. You know, we have all of these actors in LA that we've worked with for years, and we were trying to figure out logistically, okay, how can we bring out as many of these people as possible to just fill in the gaps of whoever we don't find in Vegas. Man, we could have auditioned. I mean, we could have cast our show 3-4 times from the talent that we found out here. Yeah. It is an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really fun. So I think that gets you to where we are today, which is we're about 2 weeks away from opening our doors. We're really trying to let the city of Las Vegas know that we exist. I know that word of mouth is going to be a big thing to get people through our doors, at least at first, and hopefully our 1 month run, we run from the 5th of October. That's our preview night. We open the 7th of October. From the 7th of October through the 31st of October. And then, you know, hopefully the city responds, and hopefully we just keep going.
What's the theater that it's going to be shown?
It's at Vegas Theater Company, which is in the Arts District. Yeah. Which is right smack in the middle of First Fridays, you know, the block party.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I mean, even to come out here and to see just how the local community is so passionate about First Fridays, and that there's this beautiful theater right at the like main corner of it. And you know, I've stood outside in like these little red shorts, just passing out flyers and being like, Halloween, the scariest show you'll ever see, R-rated, very naughty, very fucked up show. Which, you know, some people like that, some people don't. But you know, if Edinburgh taught me anything, it's that some people some people run towards you if they see you like advertising a horror show, and some people run the opposite direction. And you don't need to sell tickets to those people. Exactly. You need to sell people who run towards you. And there's, I mean, horror is, I mean, people just love it. They love it. And
blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. I mean,
I was never a horror guy myself.
Yeah.
They Live, I think, monster movies were great, you know, and alien movies, but the slasher, I've yet to see The Exorcist. Any of the ones that, I mean, I think when I was a senior in high school, I went to go see, what was that, Hellbound. I couldn't even I had to close my ears.
Yeah.
I feel it all. So the musical is so intense. It was tripping me out. It was so yeah, I'm always, when I hear about this, I mean, you know, there's the Majestic Theater.
Yeah.
And Troy, you know, he's also a lover of horror too.
Yeah, and he, I saw his show,
Scream, wasn't that great?
So much fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love, and he even has like a little Marquis De Sade Easter egg in there, which was really nice. But yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that the Majestic is doing this very fun, very campy and fun horror show, I think is really like a nice compliment to our very twisted, very R-rated horror show. So that's a real solid. That feels very community to me on Troy's end.
Well, tell us is it going to be The lights, darkness, lights,
Yeah.
blackness.
Yeah. So the show that we've created has like you start out in like in our lobby, which is gonna be like like a brothel in the 1800s, a place that the Marquis de Sade might have been. And we're gonna have a lot of BDSM elements because de Sade sadism comes from Sade. So it's very kinky, it's very sexy, it's very naughty, and you'll see de Sade moving about, flirting with everybody. You'll see the priest like glaring at de Sade, waiting for him to screw up. You'll go into the theater, you'll grab a drink, you'll see, like our pre-show performances. Depends on the night you go, but maybe you'll see a shibari act, maybe you'll see like a burlesque act. Like, it just depends. And de Sade will be there, enjoying himself. The priest will be right behind him, waiting for him to screw up. De Sade will get into a bit of trouble. The priest will go after him. The orderlies will come. They'll drag him into the asylum. The lights will go off. Boom. And then you're all of a sudden in the mind and the madness of the Marquis de Sade.
Nice.
And his time in the asylum.
Yeah. Which wasn't he directing shows in there too, and creating his own little scene with people?
Yes. He was a lifelong theater aficionado. He wrote his own plays. He directed shows. He would have the inmates perform these shows. And they got out and through orgies, and then he used, what was that bug that he used for like a sex drive, and enhance the sex drives, like a Spanish fly style. That's I know that we're ultimately here to talk about The Curse of the Marquis de Sade by Joel Warner, but in the book they talk about that. He got imprisoned. I think the first time he got imprisoned was because he was accused of drugging 5 prostitutes, 5 sex workers, and they all had a wild orgy, and they said that he would whip them and then pour wax into their wounds, and that he drugged them with Spanish fly. But his argument was that he only wanted to make their farts smell nice because he loved farts. Probably more the twisted side of him there. He was born
privileged, right?
Incredibly privileged. The Marquis is just one step removed from the king, so he was born incredibly privileged, incredibly wealthy. Whatever, he was above the law. He really he did keep getting arrested, but at some point his mother-in-law sicked a detective on him to get him arrested, and he kept evading the detective. And finally, the detective caught him and said something like, "I got you, you son of a bitch." And that got the detective fired for having the audacity to speak to a noble that way.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah.
There's your white privilege right there.
Oh yeah, like white male, 1700s French nobleman privilege. And that's the other thing. No matter how fucked up we write, like no matter what our imaginations come up with, the world is just far more fucked up than we could ever be. Which is sad. We're just sensitive artists trying to like come to terms with just how violent and how scary and how sad the world can be. So again, our show has commentary on being thrown in prison for postpartum depression. Our show has commentary on the audacity of people having gay thoughts and feelings. So
that's great.
I
love that.
So that's our hiding the vegetables. Right.
right? Our commentary on the mental health system.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, the way you go about things, people have asked us for years, how do I get in the cannabis industry when we were in there, and how do I get, my book published and all that? And I say, you work for free. You work for free. You get involved with the scene. Yeah. And you just hustle. You got to be passionate about the thing that you want to really be a part of, because people don't just open the door for you, you know. And I love hearing your story about that, because you've been really making it happen, manifesting your destiny when it comes to all this, because you're passionate about it. No, I fucking love it. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortcut. Like,
Yeah.
there's no shortcut.
Yeah.
You know, I have a day job. That's how I pay my rent. But yeah, this is where I spend my time and my energy, and it's never easy. But you know, I mean, you just go like, oh yeah, like I did it. I put this together, and it's a lot of labor. But yeah, if you don't love it, it's too hard.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it.
And the way you market, I mean, that's brilliant. And getting out there, I mean, just what you did in Edinburgh is fantastic.
Thank you.
Know,
yeah,
smart,
a bunch
smart
of us dressed like
moves,
zombies.
man. Smart moves.
Thank
I
you.
love that.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope it works here. I mean, you know, it's like we're trying.
We don't have a shortage of perversion and
no.
degenerates.
And again, like, you know, it's almost 1 million people who come to Vegas every weekend.
Yeah.
1 million.
Yeah.
You're telling me out of 1 million people, I can't find like a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 to come see my fucked up horror show?
And the locals too. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, people come out here to get in the entertainment industry, but they're all locals in time, you know.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
they love that stuff, and it's off strip, which is fantastic, because you know most locals don't want to go to the strip.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, we really, you know, I'm not the first LA guy to come to Vegas and think that I, you know how this city works. I don't want to, let me say that the other way. We want to make sure that we are very much involved in the local scene. So we, you know, we're trying to get involved with you guys. We're trying to, we have like every night of our show, we have a restaurant in the Arts District doing like a prefix menu, custom drinks. Like, yeah, like we're really trying to let the local community know, hey, we're here. We love Vegas, fallen head over heels in love with this city, and we want to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
The goal is to become a permanent venue.
Yeah,
you know.
Heck yeah. Well, that's great. You know, you got a crew from here too, which is smart.
Yeah,
you know,
and that was the other thing. Yeah,
word
we
gets spread.
cast local.
Yeah.
We partnered with a local theater. I mean, you know, it's too heavy of a lift to do it alone. So, really, like, coming to the local community and saying like, hey, like, you know this place better than we know this place. Like, how do we get involved? How do we show that like we're serious about this, that we're not just, you know, interlopers? So yeah, I mean, the director Jana, she left LA, she moved to Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's your co-writer?
Yeah, Bob, Jana, and I all wrote it together.
Gotcha.
Bob's the executive producer. I'm the producer. Jana's the director.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We've had a good team that you've been working with for
I
a
know.
while. So that's pretty
I know.
positive.
Thank God. I mean, you know, you can't do it alone. I'd say that's the other thing. Whenever anyone asks you, like, how do you get involved in X, Y, Z, like, you need to form a community.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know, if you think you can do it all yourself, God bless you and good luck. I can't. I need people who are expecting work from me. I need deadlines, and I need people to hold me accountable.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing it. It sounds like you've been doing it. It's pretty impressive.
I was a little nervous coming in, but you know, you've just let me talk about myself.
And,
well,
dude,
you know,
that's
I'm
part
such
of the
a
story.
theater kid. I'll happily talk about myself.
Heck yeah. I love theater too.
Yeah.
And you know, but I can never remember lines, so that was the hardest part for me.
It is hard.
And I liked working by production side as well. That was where I.
Were you ever on stage?
A little bit in high school.
Okay.
But I soon realized that it wasn't. I tried to do a little stand up for a while, and I realized the stage was not my happy scene. So writing is really what I focused on, and then screenwriting. I went to LA too to do screenwriting. But I also was a big reader at the time, and Charles Bukowski was influencing me, and I read his book Hollywood, and as I was there, I realized that how many people are just trying to take advantage of you, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll just give another shot at books, and story writing and things like that, and I found that a little bit more my speed.
I know this is off topic, but like, what's your writing habit? How much do you write?
It depends on what's going on. I'm one of those people, I like to, if I'm going to write, I like to set days, and I get in, and I don't want any distractions.
Yeah.
I don't want anything else. I'm a big rewriter too. Research a lot. So I do a lot of pre stuff. I come up with an idea, usually a beginning and an end, and then I research and try and fit stuff in, that Easter egg stuff and things that I like, that stories I want to tell, and hidden or things in society that people don't want to talk about. All those things that I like to do. And then I can write pretty fast, at least my first few drafts.
Yeah.
But I just need the time, and with the bookstore now, we moved out here to Vegas. We closed our cannabis company. We moved out here, and I went into what I called my writing retirement.
Yeah.
And then the cannabis company that Sugar was running the marketing for, they lost their license because they were idiots. And so I pulled out and was just focused on selling books on our website and online. And then this bookstore came up, and so so my time lately hasn't been as I have a column in Vegas Cannabis Magazine that I do product reviews, things like that. I used to write a lot about politics and cannabis, but it just got a little too corporate and a little too it's greed, and greed came in, and all the people who were doing it for medicine is the ones that I would write about and focus on their journey. And then it's just hedge funds now that are buying and selling licenses and doing white labeling products. So it's all from 1 or 2 or 3 growers. There are still boutique cannabis companies out there. Most of them have been squeezed out.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I like to be part of a movement, not an industry. And so so my writing's been a little less here. I focus on the journalism aspects of it. I still do writing on the side with my stories, but I'm also someone who likes to sit on stuff. I don't rush my writing. I like to reread, make it make sense. Give it to my wife to edit and see if she understands.
Do you like to write, or do you like having written?
I like to write.
You like to write. You like the actual act of writing.
act of it, because that's why I like time. And no distractions, because once my head gets into the storyline, then that's it. That's all I think about. I dream about it. I write in my head. It's night. I do a lot of writing at night. I'll go to bed and can't sleep, and the story just starts working itself. And so I'll get up and write till 4 in the morning. And
do you, if anyone comes to you and says like, "Hey, I want to be a writer," do you recommend a book? I know my answer. I just want to know.
I recommend a few. I was a big fan of Erica Zhang. And she has a book, Taming the Demon, I think it's called, about her journey. William S. Burroughs was writing, was it The Adding Machine? I think that's one that was his writing. I think that's the one. I loved that one. I do read a lot of, how-to books on that stuff. But now, over the years, I was dyslexic. I am dyslexic, but that was rough when I was a kid. And then, so I like to make sure that what I'm writing makes sense, and then so I do a lot of rewriting. But I pump out, boom, my story comes out, and then I gotta wait. That in my mind it's there, but I didn't maybe not fill it all in, or I get my structure wrong. So I build my structure, and that's the craft that I really enjoy, and then it's telling the story. I like telling a unique story, and I've kind of worked with my sentence structure through dyslexia and able to make it sound my own style, I guess you'd say. But I really like that. In fact, some of the stuff that I end up writing and get published, my journalism stuff, I don't want to go reread.
I know, right? Yeah, things that I wrote 5 years ago. I know, which is so funny, because 5 years ago I was like, I can't believe how good this is. But now it's like, oh God.
Yeah. Same with interviews with people. When I get interviewed, I usually don't like to listen to myself. I like listening. That's what I like about the podcast, is I get to listen to the people I bring in.
Right.
And I get to ask questions that I enjoy and think that would be interesting to bring on out. And so.
Well, ask me more questions, man. I'm having a blast. Are we out of time?
No, we're not out of time. We can go as long as you like. I mean, to be honest, you've answered all my questions in your own way. Like you rolled through everything I got, and your questions too. I was like, heck yeah. We talked about the show. We talked about your beginnings. What other type of people you think will be coming to this, just other tan you think readers that are into the Marquis, or it will be horror people, or a combination? Is there an age? I mean, it's rated R. Who are you writing this for, do you think?
Who am I writing? Well, those are several questions you just asked. Let me see if I can unpack who I'm writing this for. I don't know if I know that that's not a uncommon question. I don't know if I've ever thought to myself, who am I writing this for? About anything I've ever written, quite frankly.
It's great. You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what, in terms of the audience, you know, I mean, the answer is anyone who is age appropriate to buy a ticket,
Right.
which is very broad.
Yeah.
You know, De Sade was a lot of things. Boring was not one of them. You know, there's a very strong queer component to our show. He was just so sexual. He saw no difference between sleeping with men, sleeping with women. I mean, he loved sex. He tried to find the boundaries. He just so LGBT scholars now start looking at him as one of the forefathers of the queer literary movement. I mean, you know, he was decades before Oscar Wilde, and he wrote about gay sex as quote unquote normal as heterosexual sex. He just slept with everybody. And so we would really like the gay community to know that we are allies. We cast without any regard to gender from our show. And, you know, I mean, theater inherently is very queer. So we're just surrounded by the LGBT community. So we really, you know, yeah, I mean, and horror is very queer. I mean, look at, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's the gayest film ever. But yeah, so we want a big gay audience. We want people who think that they, you know, who would never go see a play, but if you call it a haunt or a horror show, that they'll come, and, you know, they'll just have never seen anything like it. I mean, again, like, you can't be bored where it's, you know, just the flashes of things. Like, there's just no ability to get bored in our show. It's like TikTok, in just the sense that you're just constantly moving through something new. And then, you know, we want young people. We want horny middle-aged ladies who read 50 Shades of Grey and really think BDSM is cute. We want the kink community. We're really trying to reach out and embrace the kink community, because, you know, I mean, again, he put the S in BDSM, so we really want to do right by them. You know, it's a big answer, but and then, you know, horror. I don't have the percentage in my head, but I did look this up, and just like there's a large Black and Hispanic contingent or Latinx contingent who is really passionate about the horror genre. So we want, I mean, we want non-white people to come. We want white people to come. We want straight people to come. We want gay people to come. We want vanilla people to come. We want kink people to come. We want everyone to come. You know, just walk out with horny fuck, like a tunnel of love, you know, where you're just holding on to your date, and then you go home and fuck. That's why teenagers love horror so much. Yeah, and, you know, I mean,
now is a show dialogue, heavy dialogue?
Oh, no,
dialogue?
Thanks for asking. There's no dialogue.
No dialogue.
I mean, there's still like some bad French,
right?
You know, but yeah, you know, I mean, it's these very physical performances of trying to express what we're showing in the scene. So, like, people scream, and, you know, there's grunts, and there's laughs, and there's pleasure, and there's pain, but no, there's no words. And, you know, it's like about a 30-minute pre-show, give or take, and then 45-minute, 50-minute actual show. We want it to move fast.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want you to be bored. We like, you know, we want to get you in. We want to scare the absolute shit out of you, and then we want to get you out with a giant smile on your face. Go get a drink at one of our, you know, our cocktail partners.
Yeah.
Go home and have wild sex.
There
That's
you
our goal.
There you go.
Does that answer that?
That does. Well, the show is Abandoned.
Yeah, the
that's
show
the
is
title.
Abandon. Our Instagram is at Abandon Vegas. Our website is abandonvegas.com. Our theater, spelled Theatre, theatre, .vegas is the Vegas Theater Company's site. Yeah, man, it just, we're trying to let Vegas know that this is a very special show and that they should come.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have any
then
problems.
They should come.
That will definitely happen here. And you have a good success rate, it seems like, and you know what you're doing. And even if you're just flying by your coattails, man, you're making it happen. And
Thank
that's impressive.
And this it wasn't like I was born, like this all is developed.
Yeah, you made it happen.
I'm turning 40 in the middle of my show run, so that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it just, you gotta expose your soft belly to the world. You gotta take the hits. You gotta put in your time. You gotta just like try. There's that Teddy Roosevelt quote, "The man in the arena," which is like, it's not the critic who counts. It's like, I can't do the whole quote, but it's basically like, like it doesn't matter what people say. What matters is, do you fall and do you get back up? And do you fall and you get back up? You fall and you get back up, and you do it enough times, it looks like you're flying. Yeah. And that's all it is. But yeah, I've trusted my gut. I've surrounded myself with people who are really good. I've really tried to embrace things that I really believe and really try to find, like I keep going back to this, but horror is a very beloved, popular genre, and people, you can't be disingenuous about that. People smell it. So I've really tried to, do right by a very passionate community.
Yeah, we're next door to Hellbound Horror, and that place, like, you see people coming in there, like, and the owners are collectors, and so they know what to get and what to find in that world. But man, people come into our store afterwards, and they're holding $300 Chucky or Freddy, or, all this stuff, and they're just so, you see it in their eyes, they're like the happiest ever.
I know. Well, it's for people who feel like they're outside of the norm, right?
Yeah.
And it's a genre that embraces the outsiders.
Yeah, definitely.
I never felt like I fit in where I grew up. Love Albuquerque, love New Mexico, but I just never felt like I fit in.
Yeah.
And so to find people, to find a tribe, to find a community has been really important to me.
Yeah, find your freaks to unite with. For
sure.
Yeah,
let your freak flag fly, my friend.
Heck yeah. Abel, man, I'm hoping you stay in this town long because I want to hang out with you more, dude. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this, and it's going to be a freaking awesome show. I'm sure this town.
Thank you for the opportunity,
blow
man.
It up. Yeah, of course.
Again, Joel Warner, The Curse of the Marquis de Sade. I hope you buy
we'll see
it.
We'll see if we can get some copies.
It's a fascinating book about a fascinating man, and then the scroll that became 120 Days of Sodom, the most impure tale ever told.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is about the Marquis de Sade is that he, on his deathbed, he wished to be erased from history. And that's probably the one wish fulfillment he never got to achieve because he is not erased from history.
No, he'll probably his story will outlive a lot of us, I'm sure.
Yeah,
to create a sexual movement.
I know.
I know. People don't forget about that shit.
No, he's made a lot of people very happy. Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
Cool, man.
Note, dude.
Hey.
Abel, thank you so much. The show's Abandoned here in Vegas. It starts this October.
A preview October 5, opening October 7. We're running on the weekends, some Thursdays. So you have to look at our calendar. And as of right now, we still have $25 early bird tickets.
Nice.
But those are going fast. And then
and people can get tickets on the website?
People can get tickets on the website.
Give us that website one more time.
Abandonvegas.com, feeder spelled RE.Vegas, or Instagram, Abandon Vegas, at Abandon Vegas. And yeah, you can get tickets on the website. We have GA, we have VIP, we got a special Halloween week planned. We got a lot, man. It's gonna be great. You guys are gonna, it's a party. We're bringing a party.
I've talked to a lot of producers, and you were one badass producer, dude. I'm really impressed. So, Abel, I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to thank Abel Horwitz for joining us on this episode of Avantpop Bookstore Presents. The Marquis De Sade Presents Abandon starts October 5th. You can get your tickets at www.theater.vegas. This is an R-rated show, 17 and up. Follow at Abandon Vegas, #Abandon Vegas. The theme music for Avantpop Bookstore Presents is performed by artist Dillashoe. And I hope you can join us again for another edition of Avantpop Bookstore Presents.